Alright, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
I'm her husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews.
And if you like listening to audiobooks, click the link in the description for a free 30-day trial with Audible. And while you're online shopping, go ahead and use that Rakuten link and get a $10 credit.
Well, let's get started. Married at First Sight, Season 12. We have reached the Monthiversary, as they like to call it here on Married at First Sight. All our couples are still together for the Monthiversary, and we explore what happens during the month. And I want to get started with...
I'm not sure what you mean by they're still together.
I mean that they still technically still together. They still married.
Yeah, some just by word.
Some by word, some by deed, but they still all together. We saw all the couples interact with each other, and the interaction were good. Some interactions were bad. Some were great, and some were not so great, but they still are together. After all they've been through, they're still together. But let's get started with a good couple, a couple that's doing pretty well, and a couple that didn't even really show that much of this week. Probably because they was doing so well, and that's Vincent and Brianna. We see Champagne Vinny and Brianna, you know, riding in a nice private vehicle. Champagne Vinny, let me stop calling him man Champagne Vinny. Vinny has a surprise for Brianna. He takes Brianna to a private boat where on this private boat there's dinner laid out, and him and Brianna are having great conversation, and the L word is thrown around a lot in this conversation. You know, Vince telling he loves her, he cares about her. And you know, Brianna's like, being married to him is a very good thing, one of the best things that happened to her in her life. So they are having a good moment, having good relationships, and they enjoyed. They was able to watch their wedding too.
Yeah, that was really cute and sweet. I just felt all over again. They are my favorite. I was smiling with them. They were smiling, looking at each other when he saw her come down the aisle, and when she saw him, and just their reaction, and him greeting her mom. It was just really sweet. They had nothing. I mean, they were all smiles and giggles while they watched the video.
Yeah, and you know, and he said he's happy that he was matched with Brianna, which was good for him. He looked, I needed someone like you. He was happy that he was matched with her. So I think this, right now, they good. They feeling it. They loving each other. As I mentioned, Champagne Vinny returned. He was like, let's see if it didn't work out last time I had some champagne. Let's see how this time works out. So he's even able to make fun of himself and joke about things that happened to him in the past. So we have seen from last few episodes to this episode here, we've seen Vinny grow. We've seen Vincent really grow into what he really has. And, you know, Brianna's being sensitive to his needs. She's not walking on eggshells, but they're communicating and having a good time with each other. And so, once again, we didn't see much of this couple in this episode. And what we did see, everything was gravy. Everything was they was doing well. They was doing good. And they were celebrating their Monthiversary, you know, with each other. And they're having fun doing so. And Brianna said, this is what type of man I'm looking for. This is what I really wanted in a relationship. And she's getting that with Vincent. And you can see everything's not, you know, 100% where they wanted to be, but they're working on it together.
Yeah, and then they talk about what it's feeling like to be married. Is this what you thought it would be like to be married? And they were just talking about how comfortable they were with each other and how supportive they are of each other, and the changes that they've seen in each other as a result.
Yeah, and they both couldn't give a definitive answer what it feels like to be married. I mean, marriage is different for everybody. You know, so everybody has different feelings, have different expectations going into it. You know, but they could express their feelings and express what they meant and what they felt. And both of them was positive. Both of them were positive for what they feel and how they're experiencing things. One thing I like about them, you don't really see them involved in anybody else's relationship. They focus working on Vinny and Brianna, which I think is one of the best things they can do. And they're working on their own issues. And for me, I just believe that they're taking what the experts are telling them off camera and the beginning applying it to their life. And so that's why I think they're doing so well.
Yep.
So that's it for Brianna and Vincent, man. Not much in this episode with them, but they're just doing good. And kudos to Vincent for getting the private boat and the chef. So, hey, good stuff.
Who we're going to next?
Let's go to Virginia and Eric.
Okay, so Virginia and Eric, we see them opening up. They're having a picnic and chit-chatting about why it is that she got into Married at First Sight. Virginia shares that she got into Married at First Sight because so many times she's been all in but the people she's dealt with weren't all in. And so she figured getting into Married at First Sight, whoever got into that with her would be the type of person that'd be all in. So that's why she wanted to get into it. And he said he found that he's saying I love you. Well, she said it too. They're saying I love you to each other more than they ever have with anyone. It's very surprising. The one thing they talked about, because separately we see Virginia and Eric and Haley and Jacob get together.
Right.
And so they're talking about their interaction, and Eric says he thinks Clara and Ryan. Clara and Ryan, they meet together, and he said he thinks that Clara and Ryan are doing pretty good based on their interaction, even though they had a whole conversation about, you know, the love piece and him not being able to say I love you. But Virginia was shocked that, man, let's talk about when they met with each other.
Yeah.
Does it make more sense? Put it in context for you. So Ryan and Clara, they go out to eat together, and they're talking about how it feels to be married. And Ryan says he thinks he has a good grasp of who Clara is. Virginia shares, like I said a few minutes ago, that she and Eric have said I love you to each other. How they went to his apartment, and he had the nice little get up and played the music and had the mood lights and everything. And then Clara sarcastically says, offering her little side thing, I'm happy for them. You know, it's real nice. She gets somebody to say I love you to her. Ooh.
Yeah, dealing with them real quick, Clara and Ryan, it's still I love you piece. It's not that he's not treating her right. It's not that he's not taking care of her. It's not that he's doing everything for and being a good spouse. Because I don't want to say, being a good husband. He's being a good husband. He's being a good provider. He's doing things for her. He even, the scene opened up with them talking about moving into his house, and she started to move things in slowly. That was also a conversation that was going on at the dinner table, which I think, she's doing it too fast. Unless they already made a decision, you know what? At decision day, I'm going to say yes. Are you going to say yes at the decision day? Cool.
Right.
I can't see me moving stuff into people's house, and I don't even know what their decision is. That means I don't have to move stuff out of their house. They're making plans already and provisions to already move out of the apartment into the home. We already knew that her place was like, small. She wanted to move with him from the beginning anyway. But while they were at dinner having this conversation, the L word comes up, and you can see how awkward she becomes, how awkward the mood at the table changes a little bit. Because she even mentioned, if he doesn't say it in 6 months, I'm gone. I'm bouncing, I'm leaving. So you never really hear Claire talk like that. But that L word, the love word, really
brought that out in her.
Like, yo, if he doesn't say it after 6 months, we're done. I don't really think it was more so the L word. I want to say more so it was the sex. If she doesn't get that in 6 months, then she's done. Because she talks about later that she thinks Ryan is waiting for the big love moment in order to have sex with her. And she was hoping that she's hoping that the Monthiversary would be that moment.
Yeah. They have a conversation about what's the earliest that you've ever told somebody I love you. And Virginia and Eric said this is the earliest they've ever told anybody I love you. And they talked about Ryan being in a relationship. He said the longest relationship he was in was 2 years, and he never said I love you to this person. And Virginia was kind of leery about that, like, wow, okay, you were in a relationship for 2 years, you didn't tell this person I love you. And Virginia said she realized that it's affirmation for Clara if he says, like you said, if he says, I love you. And Virginia is optimistic, hoping that Ryan will get there.
But you can be in a relationship for 2 years and not love the person. There's people who have been in a relationship for 2 years and you really haven't loved them yet. Y'all growing to love each other, and they've been in a relationship for 2 years that was toxic just because you're in a relationship. So just because you're in a relationship for 2 years don't mean that you have to tell a person that you love them. You may be infatuated with them. Again, it may be like Eric. It may be an arrangement that you have. It could be anything. So when that statement, I was like, obviously he didn't love her because the relationship didn't work. They're not together.
I can't say that.
Well,
sometimes you love people, and that's something that Clara talks about later. That Ryan is doing and acting, doing love things. Maybe he just hasn't put that label on it and doesn't realize it. I can't imagine being in a relationship with somebody for 2 years without having some kind of love for them. You may not have been in love with them, like you weren't smitten by this person,
right.
But you have some kind of love being caring and affection, concern for the person, looking out for them, feeling like you will miss their presence, them not being there. So being with somebody for 2 years, even for real, let's be honest, even in toxic relationships, there is some love there, or else the people wouldn't stick around.
It's still love and respect, but I think once you look at the love is a verb, right? So he's doing, which means all the things you're talking about are things that you do when you're in love. But she's focusing on the word. He's focusing on the noun of love because it want to be spoken, not the verb of love, which is the acts and the things that you do. Same thing we had to deal with Austin, with Jessica. She was worried about the word, the noun love, meaning him verbalizing and him saying it instead of the verb love, which was the actions and the things that he was doing. So I think so many people get caught up on the noun love, which is the one that, just speaking it, and more so what the person actually is doing. I think people should appreciate, and this just me, appreciate what people are doing more so than hear the word "I love you," because their actions say that. Then it was great because this, we see in Ike and Tina Turner. He always told Tina Turner he loved her, but he was beating upside her head. You know what I'm saying? So again, what kind of love is that? So you got to be able to express it outwardly and not just verbally, with your actions and not just your verb and your words.
Yeah, so like I said, Virginia and Eric, they get together after having dinner with Clara and Ryan, and so they talk about that conversation again, and they really do feel like they have hope that Ryan's going to get there with Clara. They're both surprised that she's moving stuff in, which we were. We were surprised that Clara was moving stuff into Ryan's apartment. I kept saying, oh, it's too soon. But I never thought about, like you said, maybe they've already agreed that when decision day comes, we're going to say yes. Or else, why would you be moving stuff in? But, so, Virginia, go ahead.
No, I'm about to say that sparks a conversation with Virginia.
Yes.
Eric.
Yeah, they have a conversation about whose place they're going to move into. Yeah. Eric owns his place. Virginia rents. He said it makes more sense for them to move into his place. She doesn't want to move in his place, but he really doesn't want to move in hers. It doesn't make sense to go from somewhere you own to someplace you're renting. And basically her thing is, we want to have our own place. And Eric is saying, I understand that and I don't have a problem with it. But in the meantime, do you know how long it takes to sell a place? And do you know how long it takes to get a place? We're going to need to reside somewhere in the meantime. And, she's like, I know that. I'm not dumb, But it still didn't seem like she was getting a grasp because, it still don't make sense that, okay, so while he's trying to sell his place, for us to then rent another place before we get a final place.
Or live apart.
Which is what it sounded like she said. That too.
She mentioned that to live apart, live separate. But why would you live separate if you spend these last 2 months with each other living together? I think one of her biggest issues was, that's his place. But go back to her past. She probably seen some things in the past where one person had ownership of the house and they put them out. Where somebody had ownership of everything and they let them go. Now, if Eric, talking about, how long it takes to sell a house? It don't take that long when you're in a good market. We've seen houses sell in our neighborhood in about a week or 7 days. But I think what Eric should have said was, Eric should have mentioned, let's make sure we get past these 8 weeks.
Right.
Let's make sure we get towards decision day, and then we can figure out what we want to do with the living arrangement, what we're going to do with the house. I want to live with you. I want you to be together. Even if we rent this apartment that we're living in right now for a minute or just for a second until you get comfortable, or you start slowly spending nights at my house until you get comfortable with spending the night here, which I don't understand. She stayed there before. I guarantee you after he serenaded her, she stayed there.
Right.
So to me, it wouldn't be any different. We're going to get a house together. So we're not moving from this place into a brand new house. But guess what we're going to do? Let's have a conversation. Let's look at our finances. Let's look at how things shape out economically. And let's make a move. Not just rush to a decision, but let's count the cost and make an economic move. And I think that's where the immaturity of Virginia comes in at. And the youngness of Virginia comes in at, about the being able to move and sell his condo. Is it worth him selling his condo right now? How long has he been in there? If he's been in there less than 5 years, he may not get a return on his investment. How much equity does he have in his condo? So there's a lot of things that go into that decision of selling the house and where you're going to live at. I'm not sure that she fully grasped that concept of what Eric was saying.
Because the other thing that I feel like she didn't get, and I know she seemed like it bothers her when he says this, but he says, you know, I've been there before. I've been married before. I've had to live with somebody before. I've had to combine our lives and be in one place together. So you're fearful, and I think this is rooted maybe in what she's dealt with other people, but most definitely what she's seen in her own parents is that, you know, he's trying to make her understand, I don't have a problem with making my place our place. I once that's what it is, I won't make the distinction. You're scared that I'm gonna do that, but I'm telling you I'm not gonna do that. It's a way that we can make it our own if you can get that thought out of your head. But you know, he just goes back to the fact that I have experience in this, you don't.
And I think that's a problem because he keeps bringing that up. There's two things he keeps bringing up. One, I have experience in this, you don't, which is bringing up the fact that you've been married before, it did not work, and the fact that he'll bounce. To me, again, you don't have to keep saying about having experience in this. There's other ways that he can tell Virginia, you know what, this is how it works. Well, let's go, you know, when you want to look at it this way, let's check and see. Let's look at the numbers. Let's meet with somebody. Let's show you how it goes. Yeah, you want her to take your word for it. But she's not at this point. So, again, instead of throwing up, I've been married before and I've done this. And she could easily say, guess what, you have been married before and it didn't work. So, you know, she could have came back. But, I mean, she's not clapping back on him because, again, they both believe in putting things to a side and try to deal with them later. They never really address any issues when they come up. They kind of deal with it just a little bit, push it to the side, and they revisit it. And that's why we keep hearing the same conversation from Eric. I've been married before, or if you don't do it this way, I'm bouncing, which is straight up manipulation by him trying to deal with her because he knows that she has abandonment issues. They're not going anywhere. Again, they should have that conversation, which I don't understand. Maybe somebody can help me out there. If we're 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, and we see this with the other couple later, have that discussion. Where are you at right now? Do you see us being together in the next 4 weeks? Unless something happens real bad, we should still be together. You see what I'm saying? That conversation should be had, especially after a month.
Yeah. So the next thing we see with Virginia and Eric, they celebrate their Monthiversary. He takes her to the hangar, his family's hangar, where their planes are and stuff, and shows her around. They talk about how they're growing every day. They look at their wedding pictures, and they talk about how it was such a nervous time for them and awkward, and it's still kind of weird, but it's a different kind of weird. It's not awkward so much anymore. It's a good kind of weird, she says. And she likes being able to come home to someone every day. And they give them their vows. Their vows are framed. They go through their vows. So they just have a nice little Monthiversary. They sit and have dinner, and they exchange gifts too.
And he takes her up in the airplane.
Yes.
You know, he takes her before they have dinner. He takes her up and flies over Atlanta. And, you know, she really enjoys that because he like, you nervous. But it provides more to me when he does that. Again, he's in control of the situation. But she relinquishes control and gives trust to him. And to allow him to take her up in the plane. This was her first time in, you know, a private little plane. And she was nervous. But at the same time, she trusted Eric to lead her and to guide her in the way that they should go. Or the direction that should go. And so I think he likes that control because that's his place. That's his area. That's his thing. Up in the air, he's free. He's in control of this thing. So she enjoyed it. And she liked it. And so it was able to, because she got comfortable with him. Because she even asked, can you do that stalling engine type thing? And he did that for her. So it was interesting to see how she got relaxed and started trusting Eric even more while they was up in the air.
Well, and again, that's some more of bringing you into my world, because that's his world.
Yeah.
And it's one thing for him to fly on a plane to Las Vegas. He's not flying that plane. So she got to see that Eric, the pilot Eric. And so, like I said, he got to bring her into his world some. So that was good for them to relate to each other. And then, like I said, they ate dinner together and they exchanged gifts. And I want to jump to his. He said, you know, he knew exactly where they got married, that, you know, so they can remember that. And so he gives her framed coordinates. And she looks at it like,
yeah.
It took her a minute. She looked at it.
Hey, there's some other things he could have gave her, but I'm not knocking his gift. He put some thought into that.
Yeah, and after a while she smiled about it. She's like, oh, this is nice. Oh, this is cute. But at first I feel like she was like, I'm missing it.
Yeah, she didn't understand she didn't understand what was going on. But again, back to his pilot background and the fact that he's always driving past this place. He's like, I wanted to give you something to always remember us or what we met and where we had our first marriage or where we got married. So.
And I remember, and she gave him a blanket
with her and a dog on it.
Of her but not her dog. Was it Rocky? I thought she said it was Tex.
Yeah, it was her and Tex.
Yeah, his dog.
Mm-hmm.
A big old blanket, and he seemed kind of awkward about that at first. He was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll get used to your face on there." She's like, "Oh, my face so big."
And she said you could take it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And wrap up in it. And so when you gone flying and you gone for 4 days, you take me and Tex with you, and so you can just wrap up in it. I mean, the gifts were thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
The gifts were thoughtful, so it wasn't. They didn't spend. It's not the year anniversary, so he didn't spend a whole bunch on it. It was a month anniversary. I mean, I guess if you set the bar high for the month anniversary, you really got to blow it out for the year anniversary.
Maybe.
So maybe. So we'll see. But all in all, Virginia and Eric had a pretty decent episode where
it's the usual for them.
The usual for them where they got into a touchy situation, never really closed it or finished it, and then moved on to the next situation. Mm-hmm. And moved on and ended the night whole. Like, one thing I say about them, they always end the day or end this episode, I don't know if it's because of production or whatever, they always end whole. You know, if they have something in the middle of the show or at the beginning of the show, by the time the show ends, that Virginia and Eric's already made up and they ended pretty much whole. So
yeah. All right, who we going to next?
Let's go to Haley and Jacob.
Oh, okie dokie. So we got Haley and Jacob. She was talking about how, just trying to get a gauge of where they are, and she had an idea that she has a friend that does like card reading and
witchcraft again
and that kind of stuff. And so she wanted to have a card reading with Jacob. And so her friend Shay, or her associate Shay, comes over to do a tarot reading. And he's willing to try. And so she puts the cards out and she says, I just want to put the cards out and read y'all's energy. And, he says that she wants a friendship first and he wants romance. And the card reader says, I feel that. I got that strong energy noted.
Yeah.
And so we need to release that energy. She says it's causing her anxiety. It's causing Haley anxiety. And they have a tendency to secretly control the other. And Haley admits that she wants to have the upper hand.
Yes.
And she agrees to release control, and he agrees to release control too. But basically the card reader says she sees the compatibility between them. That, let me say it right. Their moon path, their light path and moon sign correlate. I don't know what none of that means.
Had to look it up. And I looked it up. What it means is that as they move in the realm of light, they go past each other. They should be able to coexist at the same time with each other. Which I still don't understand it, but anyway, it works.
So she said their light path and moon signs correlate, and she said that doesn't happen much. And they're on path 8 and 6, and they're compatible.
Didn't look that up. Don't know what path 8 or 6 is.
But so she just really tells them that y'all, you need to chill on the forcing it. Y'all are compatible. Work on being compatible. Besides the tarot reading thing, I mean, what she said was making sense. It's not something they haven't heard before.
It's not something they haven't heard before. I hope they didn't pay her a lot. It's her friend. It's a friend, but I'm saying it's the same. They're compatible for a reason. I think when you get on this show, this is what I think you have to trust the experts. That if they say that you guys are compatible, they looked at it, they read it, they did your analysis, your psychological test that you've been through, everything that you did to get on this show. You have, to me, 4 weeks in, I think I'm still trusting what the experts say that we are compatible. I'm still trusting that, you know what, they saw something in us that needed. Let's find out what it is. It may not be, and we'll get to that in a minute. It may not be attraction, physical attraction. It may be other things. So you have to be able to find out what that is in this time frame. So I agree with the tarot reader. I was gonna say the witch, but she's not a witch.
Tarot reader.
Tarot reader.
Haley says she wants to try. She's trying to be more positive, and she wants to continue the connection. So we see them. They go barrel tasting, and I've never heard of it. But they go barrel tasting. But let's just come on. I'm not a wine drinker. I'm not a drinker at all. So
wine tasting. Let's call it wine tasting.
Yeah. Well, but they're taking it right from the barrel, not the bottle. It's coming from the barrel.
Coming from the barrel.
And she's done the barrel tasting before, but
Yeah.
he hasn't. And as far as the relationship, she says it's a lot of work getting it all together, but she's willing to try. And she feels like the reading reset them. Again, my thing is, the reader told them the same thing that the experts have already said. Even the same thing her friend Lauren has said. Y'all were matched for a reason. There's got to be something there. Find what makes you compatible, you know, and work on that.
But sometimes a different voice makes it something different. I mean, sometimes your friends, they're supposed to say nice things, or the experts are supposed to say things. But when you have somebody who really don't know anything about anything, and they tell you, it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why people can go to different places with counselors and heard the same thing your mama been telling you since you was 6, and it seemed like the counselor has a new revelation, but you've been hearing this since you was 6. A different voice, different person.
Yeah.
So.
So they also are celebrating their month-iversary, and so Haley asks, you know, how do you feel about making it to the 1 month? And he says, as he said before, we didn't start off great.
Yeah.
And we're not where we want to be, but we're glad to be having a friendship and building on that. And they say that instead of pressing each other, that they want to help each other out. Pressing was not helping. No. And that he's trying to be patient. She's trying to get out of the awkwardness of it.
Yeah, she's trying to be more active and more involved. You know, she's trying to be more involved. If you really notice, I believe that Jac had one of the shirts on that Haley purchased for him. So he's trying there. She's trying to have, because we see a good dialogue between them two.
Yeah.
They're having great conversation.
Until it broke down.
And
so, you know, they both say they've been present. They wanted to keep going that way, keep communicating, keep the lines open, and just go that way. So they look at their wedding pics, and it is very obvious that she says, I was in shock mode, but I was optimistic. But the pictures were visibly awkward.
Too much separation, too much space.
The kiss was awkward. How she she actually jerked back, kind of pulled back when he kissed. You know, that was obvious when they watched the video.
Yeah.
It was just uncomfortable to watch.
It bothered him that he said, oh, I saw a pull back. You pull back. Right now I'm thinking about it. You pull back.
Yeah. Which I think kind of springboarded them into the other conversation.
It did.
But they made a toast, and the toast was that they'll have a better second month than they had a first month.
They didn't get out the first month.
And he doesn't know how to approach connection going forward. This one goes downhill.
Yep.
His thing is, I don't know how to approach our connection going forward. We got a good friendship, but, you know, how do we get it from friendship to where I'm looking for it to be, you know, where it should be with us being married, a romantic connection. And he says, I feel like you're not looking at me, you're looking past me.
Yeah, here come his insecurities again. Here we go. We talk about insecurities, but with Vincent, Jacob has a lot of insecurities. Jacob's insecurities bad. She's trying. Y'all having a decent conversation. You're moving.
And he ruins it.
And you're moving along. You're trying to get a good clip. You hitting the reset button, and you're moving in the right direction. And now you're gonna bring up again that she's looking past you, the physical attractions piece. Again, wait till you get there. We talk about Miles. Let's go to Miles. Miles waited almost to pandemic mode for their relationship to come before he really got the physical that he wanted. So it's an 8-week process where you're accelerating this process.
But the difference between Miles and Karen and Haley and Jacob is there was some affection there. It was obvious attraction.
Yeah.
Haley has made no bones about the fact that she is not physically attracted to him.
But she is attracted to him in other ways, though. She's having
I don't think so.
Conversation where she's dealing with. By the fact she's sleeping in the bed with you now, so be happy that she's sleeping in the bed with you.
Yeah, but
he
talks about the fact, man, you trying to jump there. They don't have. It says it's not normal for her not to have a connection. You know, it's awkward for both of them. He's felt this way since day 4. How do we get back to where that was? She's stressed that she doesn't want him to feel that way. But then he talks about the fact that Dr. Viv was like, let's try this. Yeah, we're sleeping in a bed together. But you don't even want to give me a hug.
That's the problem. She can't even hug him. That's the issue.
She hasn't been pushing. You know, she's just...
Again, I mean, she hasn't been pushing. I guess you lean in for a hug. I don't know. That ain't sure. If he leans in for a hug, she's going to pull back. if he leans and just gives her a hug. Wake up in the morning and, put his big bare arms around her.
I'm thinking she probably is like, ooh, get off of me.
Again, he goes back to day 4, and I'm going to keep saying this. That's after they had sex. She was like, nope. Not that the kiss wasn't good at the wedding. The sex was trash. I don't want this guy.
And so, anyway, she said, I've been apologetic. I apologize for backing away. I don't know what else to do. And, he says, I go in to give you a hug, and you give this sigh, this disgusted sigh, and you hug, but you put him off. He's like, we hug strangers. Why can't I at least get a hug? Like, I don't understand. We're married. We're in this together. We're trying to build a friendship. You can't even give me a hug. You hug a stranger. And she was like, yeah, because I hug a stranger. I hug them then, and I don't see them anymore.
I see them anymore. She needs to tell him, look, I don't like you. Again, don't if she doesn't like him, don't string him along. I think she's trying, but she just doesn't know how. I think the emotionally attachment. Again, we go back to the fact that she hadn't been in a relationship since she was 21. She's still young. 21, she's probably the relationship, and then it was a long-term relationship because it carried from high school on. She really has never really dated or been in, so she really doesn't know how. She's kind of awkward. We talk about Ryan here not giving Clara sex. Haley's kind of the same situation. She's not giving Jacob any affection, and Jacob's handling different from Clara because I'm sure Clara's trying to ease Ryan into the situation. Jacob's not trying to ease Haley. Jacob is pushing. I need a hug. I need affection. I need you to hug me. I need you to kiss me. I need some more sex. I need this. He's pushing a little bit.
He didn't say he wants more sex, but I disagree. He is asking for a hug is not being pushy. Dr. Viv gave them direction and instruction. He's trying to follow through on this, and he's right. Dr. Viv was right. You cannot try to get that connection and move that way if you don't take some steps. He said, I did the fist bump thing. Like he said, we hug strangers. When you first meet somebody, you don't know them at all. And you give them a hug. I'm not asking you to grab me up. And no, just like you greet somebody, hey, how you doing? You give them a hug. I can't even get that. I don't think that's pushy at all. That's not pushy. He's not pushing her. And she needs to loosen up. She needs to loosen up. Come on, get that man some leeway.
She doesn't loosen up, but you got to realize where she's at. This is her place. And I'm not making excuses for it. This is her place. She has to loosen up. So therefore, there's something that's not allowing her to loosen up.
And she's too stuck on the fact that she's not physically attracted to him. She's letting that stop her. She has checked out. She checked out. She's been checked out. So we can say she's trying, but she's weakly trying. She's checked out. She's not interested in him. She's not interested.
Then again, we see later in the relationship, in the conversation, he says that. You're like, yo, we're not interacting. We're going to be done.
He said.
She
said, I hug a stranger because I'm not going to see them anymore. He said, well, how about this? In 4 weeks, you won't have to see me anymore either. You won't see me again either. And Haley's like, what are we doing? And he's like, I don't know what we're doing. That's the problem. He says it would have to take lightning to strike for us to stay connected and stay in this marriage.
Which means he's done. I mean,
he's basically saying he's done. And she says she's not sure how much more she has to give. She's like, I'm giving. It's weak. It's weak.
I'm gonna go this. I'm gonna go here. Maybe she's giving off camera and we don't see it. Maybe she's trying. Maybe they sitting on the couch watching movies and she don't. We saw that with Olivia and Brett. There were certain things that she didn't do. It may be certain things she won't do on camera. I don't know. But I'm just.
We didn't see the hug thing. So that tells me that she ain't doing nothing on camera. She ain't doing nothing off camera.
She's not doing it. I agree. She's not doing anything. She's not doing anything because she wouldn't even give him a peck. So after she kissed the one, she won't kiss him again. She's not attracted to him and just let it go. She need to let it go. I got your point. I got you.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
They
ended their Monthiversary with an argument. Like most episodes, we said Virginia and Eric usually end whole. In most episodes, Haley and Jacob always usually probably end mad at each other in most episodes. Oh man, we talked.
Well, let's go there though. So, because at one point the girls get together, Haley and Brianna meet up with Paige, and they talk about how everything's going. Brianna talks about the fact that she and Vincent are doing really good. and in a lot of ways, they're the same type of person. They have this goofiness and you know, this funness about them. And she said she's all in. She says it's a lot for her. This is not really what she's comfortable with, and she's been hesitant, but he's been reassuring and comforting her when she gets frustrated. Like when she gave an example when I was sitting at working from home, and I was like, you know, kind of fed up, and he just put his arms out like, you know, give me a hug, trying to comfort. And Haley says, you know, for her, it's been going pretty good. Just before they had this blow up at the Monthiversary. But she stressed, you know, she lets them know, oh, we've been sleeping in the same bed. And Brianna and Paige are like, oh, wow. So everybody knew they won't sleep in the same bed. So that's an accomplishment.
It's accomplishment. Progress. It was progress.
She's sleeping in the same bed. They're communicating. But she kind of, you know, she wanted it to go the way Brianna and Vincent were going. But it's just not. And that's when she talks about having a friend with the tarot cards. And
that's a problem. Stop comparing what Vincent and Brianna has to what you have. I think that's a lot of issue we saw we see it in many seasons where people start comparing couples.
Because I think, but you compare that because before you get into it, you have an idea of how it will go. So you end up comparing yourself to the couple because that's how you wanted yours to go, and they're on that path. So I think she's more comparing with what her ideal was and the fact that somebody else is in that ideal, but she's not.
And then if that's the case, you compare and then figure out why they're at that place where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Figure out why Brianna and Vincent is so far light years above everybody else right now. I mean, I'm just using an example. Then have that conversation. Okay, what are y'all doing? You know, how do you get to where you guys are at right now? What are you trying? And then, if you're not listening to the expert, at least listen to your peers.
Yeah.
People who are in a situation with you. Again, I'll go back to my point. It's not like they have not seen this show. I'm sorry. Unless you signed up and you blind, why would you sign up for the show if you have not watched the episode? Even when I'm going through the process, even if I got called from a casting director, whatever the case may be, oh, you want me to be a Married at First Sight? Cool. As I'm going through the casting director process and all that, I should go and Google, YouTube, check out Jac and Glen, whatever case may be, and figure out the show.
So anyway, Paige says, you know, at least they're making some progress. She's excited about that. But then as far as Paige, she shares that, you know, what's going on with them. She asks, you know, Haley asks, what's your expectation with you and Chris? And she tells them that, well, Chris told me that he bought Chicky Boo a Mercedes car, a brand new Mercedes. And they talk about the same thing that we said. Because she explains the situation, how she was in an accident. She wasn't driving. She didn't have a vehicle. She was ride sharing. And so when she tells them that he bought her a car, Haley's like, well, what's going to make her, she hasn't been driving all, so what's going to make her comfortable driving now? If she wasn't comfortable driving before, what's going to make her comfortable driving now?
And I don't know if they kept doing this, but Haley's head kept going like this, like she was a bobblehead. I thought that was funny because she's just nodding everything. Like, yeah, I totally agree. Even when Brianna was like, hold up, wait a minute, what? See, I wanted to see Paige talk to Brianna more about this situation. Brianna like, hold up, what?
Yeah. Paige was like, you know, he's talking about I'm still in it, you know, I'm trying to work this marriage thing out. And Paige goes somewhere that I was like, in a normal relationship, maybe. In this one, not necessarily. She says that if he was operating as if I'm his wife, he should have talked to me about the car.
No.
And even if it was a last minute decision where he was just like, oh, you know what, I'm going to go get Mercedes a car. You know, that he should have talked to her about it. Well, yeah, in a normal relationship, a normal marriage, yeah. But he don't owe her to tell her nothing. He didn't have to tell her that he had already done it.
I think he owes it to her, but the place that they're at didn't make it conducive. Yeah. They are technically still married, but this is where he does, and this is where I agree with you at. Because, again, they're not living each other. Their money's not combined. He already said he wanted 50% of the wedding money they received. So none of this stuff is together, and he's just basically a friend. Technically, you are married, so yeah, he could have said, by the way, I bought Mercedes. Which he did say, I'm thinking about buying Mercedes a car, but does he owe that to her? Nah.
Brianna's like, he's not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready. I don't know why he got into the Married at First Sight thing. He's not ready. He's not ready to operate in this like he's a husband and she's a wife. Paige shares that they have Bible study and that, you know, they're wanting to build a friendship. And she said, it's like she's getting to know a stranger they're going through day one stuff now.
Yeah, so let's.
That they should have done already. And he gave her hope that there was potential, but Brianna straight up is like, you never know what can happen, but right now it sounds like a bunch of BS to me.
Bunch of BS. And so while we on there, let's stay with them because she got that conversation from when they was playing basketball. Chris and Paige, we see them first open up the conversation, open up the scenes. They're playing basketball. She comes in playing basketball, and Chris is already in the gym playing basketball. And let's go to 5. They go to 5. Chris is up winning. He helps Paige to learn how to shoot. So she's helped doing that. So they sit down and have a conversation. They start having a discussion and they start having friendly conversation. Chris asked her, you never really answered my text about this 5-year goal. Mind you, she didn't answer his text about this 5-year goal plan that we had, and you didn't respond to that. And so he told her, my 5-year goal plan is, I have 3 or 4 businesses, each one making about $1 million a piece, so I can take care of my family, take care of my home, and do all that. So the conversation is going good, going decent, and here come Paige and Pastor Dwight. All right. Well, I heard that you was married before.
Engaged.
I heard that you was engaged before.
Before Mercedes.
Before Mercedes. Can you tell me about, you didn't mention anything.
And he kind of sighs
his face like,
okay.
Lord, here we go. Here it comes.
Let's just talk about it.
Let's talk about it. And so he goes into, he was young. He was 20. He didn't go into, this is what was interesting. I don't know if anyone caught. He didn't tell her how long they were, how long before he asked the young lady to marry him. So which would go.
Oh, yeah, because she asked and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to
say that. So which goes to Chris's track record. He doesn't stay engaged. He doesn't date you long
before he
wants to marry you.
And he said that he was like, I wanted to get married.
Yeah.
I want to get married. That's always his goal.
And then he walked off, or he left out of the man. He left out of the relationship. Didn't feel right.
They tried to reconcile.
Get back together, and then somebody advised. I'm gonna say, counsel, pastor, family member, father, whoever, advised her not to be with Chris because he was broke at the time. That he didn't have any money. That he was broke. He couldn't provide for her, and advised her not to marry him. And so, and this is what he said. They advised her because he didn't have any money. Now, of course, a lot of you out there may say they advised him because they saw a lot of different other red flags in him.
Probably.
That wasn't good. It wasn't just about the money, but he said it was about the money. So we probably know that they probably saw other red flags and was like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So nonetheless, he doesn't get married. And then we know about the Mercedes situation. But all in all, him and Paige are having a great conversation. Paige brings up what you mentioned earlier about, man, we should have had these conversations from Jump Street and we would have been in a much better place. Here is my thing. You can't have these conversations from Jump Street because from day 2 of your wedding, you had an issue that you needed to deal with.
Right.
You had an issue that he's been dealing with that he didn't know how to handle. I do believe if Mercedes were never pregnant, we might have seen this side of Paige and Chris from the beginning.
I don't know, because even besides that, they could have had these conversations honeymoon night, but you too busy trying to make yourself attracted to her by getting the draws.
But he said he's attracted to it now. But again,
no, he hasn't said that.
But these comments, he did. He said it on his review that again towards the end he said I'm more attracted to her. And when he was talking about it, I'm more attracted to her now and than before.
He's full of crap.
And so again, if I just really looked at it and I thought hypothetically, if they was not a baby situation that came up, Chris and Paige might have been on a different plane. Think about all the drama and all the situations have come from the fact that he has gotten Mercedes pregnant at this point in time. None of it was because of Chris. A lot of the issues because he got Mercedes pregnant. If the pregnancy of Mercedes was not involved in this situation, Chris and Paige might be in a better place than they are right now. So we see them, talking and conversating. Then we go on to see Chris and Paige. I don't want to call this the anniversary month. Or the anniversary celebration. It was a get together, gathering that Chris and Paige had where they was playing pool. They challenged each other, which again, Chris is competitive. He doesn't like to lose. Paige is competitive, doesn't like to lose. So they had a little challenge and but a little challenge playing pool. Eventually, Chris wins the pool game.
Yes.
And so now here comes a conversation piece where Chris and Paige sit on the couch and start having conversations about their relationship, about what they're doing, where they want to go, about their friendship, and where they want to go. And it comes up, and Chris says, Paige talks about communication. And Chris said, well, it's funny because I called you and I text you, and you never called or text me back.
Well, and this one, the main thing was I called you.
Yes.
And I called you several times and you didn't answer.
Oh, that's right, because Chris said, I am not a texter.
Right.
I don't like to text.
Primarily, he's not a texter. I'm a talk on the phone person.
He may not be a texter, but he is an Instagram and social media type person. But because he would sure be typing and anyway.
So, but he says, I've called you and you haven't answered. And she was like, I was doing something with my mom, or I'll be busy working. How can Chris think I'm just going to, I'm not just going to stop what I'm doing to talk to him. And, she was like, again, she said, I text you, you didn't answer me back. They talked about the fact that, it was some time passed from when I called you to try to call me back. You didn't,
She should. Because, again, out of her own mouth, she said, I want you to call me at least once a day. Right? She said, I want to communicate. Call me, FaceTime me, whatever case may be. Now, if the man starts calling you and start FaceTime you, doing what you ask, respect the fact that he's doing it. I don't care if you like him, dislike him. That's like if your husband, ladies, if you tell your husband, man, it'd be nice if you start opening the car door for me. And then he start opening the car door. What you doing that for? Because you asked me to start opening the car door. And so don't look like him like he's boo-boo the fool. You asked something, and so when he started doing it, appreciate the fact that he started to do it, and he not only appreciate it, recognize it.
Right.
Recognize it. So I know you're mad, but if you're saying you hit the I'm going back based off of her. You said you hit the reset button. Y'all try to be friends. You try to work this thing out. So you wanted him to call you. He's calling. You're not answering. Not only are you not answering, you see he's called 6 or 7 times, and you're not even calling back.
This was the one time that Chris kind of pulled us to his side. I hate to say it, but he pulled us to his side because the other thing that he says is that, basically you doing it for the cameras. I'm trying to connect outside of when we filming, outside of the cameras, and you're not giving me anything. I feel disrespected.
And rejected. Which makes much sense here because, again, we wonder why Chris is not talking on camera. You wonder why Chris is quiet or he's not saying anything on camera when it's him and Paige, because he feels that only time she wants to talk to him and conversate with him is for TV. She wants to make, I'm going to take this from our friend Artika. He wants to make good TV.
Right.
August Love Story. Check out their channel. Hit subscribe. But she says that, he want to make good TV. Let's make good TV. In this case, Paige wants to make good TV.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to have the conversation. And I understand. Trust me. He has done a lot to this young lady. To hurt this young lady. To make this young lady feel insignificant. To feel left out. To feel bad. But again, I only can go based off of Paige. Paige says she wants to hit the reset. She says she's committed to stay in this relationship. She says she's committed to work this out. So when you tell me that you're committed to work this thing out, that you're committed in the relationship, I expect, I'm going to take you for your word, that you're going to do everything you can to help work this relationship out. And going based off of Chris, she's not doing that. Because she didn't, and I have to...
She didn't dispute him.
That's right, I have to believe him. She didn't dispute him.
She did not dispute him. I was like, wow, Chris, you making a good point. Yeah. Why are we only doing this? Because this is supposed to be a full-time thing anyway. It's not just a TV show. We're married. That's what she keeps stressing. Yeah. We're legally bound together. We put our names on these papers. And even though I don't deal with, just Chris talking, even though I don't deal with Pastor Dwight, he is allowed in the state of Georgia. He does have the authority in the state of Georgia. Yeah. And to make this legally binding, if he did it, it's for real. And, you just want to do it when TLC is...
It's Lifetime. It's Lifetime. It's Lifetime. When Lifetime...
But also TLC...
Oh, for Tender Loving Care?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is around. Like, they looking. You know what I'm saying? They trying to film it.
Go ahead and fix it up.
You trying to do...
Go ahead and fix it up.
Don't do it.
Go ahead and fix it up. But I know I'm not. I'm going to help you out. So I'm gonna help you here.
I don't like him.
I'm gonna help you out. But this is how you know Chris is telling the truth, right? It's because she said every time, and I quote, every time we get here, you have nothing to say. Every time we get here, which means outside of here we talk. So when we get here, your cat has your tongue, and he explains to her why. Because you're a different person. You're not communicating with me off camera. I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to deal with you. Now, granted, if she says she's hurt and she don't want to deal with him, let him know.
But she ain't say that.
She ain't say that. And she didn't dispute him. So it's right. She's not feeling. Again, she's talking to her mama pie saying, boy, girl, leave that boy alone.
I still don't think Paige is talking about.
Girl, don't mess with him.
I don't think Paige.
And again, she's not answering. She's running errands. But here's my problem with Chris. You want her to be engaged with you and have a conversation with you. And when I mean engaged, I mean conversate and talk, converse and talk. And so now but you're not living with her. You're not doing husband duties. You're not being a husband to her. You're more of a boyfriend who shows up and you want all this. If you were being more of a husband, maybe she'll give you that conversation you want off camera.
Right.
Maybe she's feeling the only way that she can get the conversation now from you is on camera, that you can be open. She's like, I don't got time for this foolishness. Maybe he's talking foolishness when they do have conversations.
Yeah.
And so the only time she gets the honest Chris or the Chris that's straightforward is on camera. So it's so many things that go into this that I don't want to take sides, so I just go off what I hear. And then you can look at it and you can dig into it even more. Because again, Paige may be checked out. She may be just going through this for the emotions. Chris may be checked back in because Mercedes had turned him down. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to try to ride this marriage thing out. Maybe he's getting advice from his mama, which we'll probably see. She will see her on next episode, right? So he's getting some advice. Boy, go ahead and ride this out. Maybe he gets some pastoral advice. Not from Pastor Dwight, from some other pastor, right? So he's getting some advice that, look, this is what I want to do. And he wants to build the relationship off the camera. We saw this with Karen. Karen and Miles, Karen said Miles said him and Karen had a great relationship off camera. But when camera came on and production came around, it was, Mm-hmm. So again, Chris wants her to be the same on and off camera.
Yeah.
I can't blame him. He said, okay, that's the way that you want to be. I think this is the dead end. And we need to go our separate ways.
Yeah.
And she looked like she was hurt. She was hurt because she cried.
Yeah.
She was hurt by him saying this is the dead end. I don't care what none of y'all say. You're not that hurt if you already checked out.
Right.
They were doing something off camera that was building this relationship and making this relationship much stronger. And when he said that this is the dead end, she was like, oh my God, it's over. Mm-hmm. And so whatever they were doing off camera to build their relationship up,
she got stuck looking at the pictures of the video on her own.
She got stuck looking at the pictures in the video by herself.
Lamenting at how nice they look at the pictures and how well the wedding went, but they're at a standstill.
Production be setting her up. And I know she got to go.
They know Mindy had to do the same thing. They're not setting her up. It's not like it hasn't happened before.
Yeah, but you're not getting me to watch this by myself.
Yeah.
I'm hot. I'm mad. Not what y'all watch it. Y'all just show the clip. I'm not watching this. You want me to watch this and reminisce? He just broke my heart. My marriage is over. And you want me to sit here and reminisce about the day the man said, when I walked down the aisle, can't say that on here.
They ain't play that part.
You see what I'm saying? You making it, and then production asking a question like, what do you think about the process? Well, my process is still going and I'm still moving on. Don't ask me no questions. This process is over. And
then we kind of went from, this was God ordained to, well, I believe what God has for me is for me.
Then this wasn't for you.
No, that's what she's saying. Not that. She's saying, God's going to get me at that place where I want to be. I was like, girl, anyway.
If I'm Paige, I'm leery about people getting my DMs right now. If I'm on Paige, I'm worried about people calling me up trying to hook up with me. Because if they seen this, you got some jokers who are going to try to play the emotion card. And try to. So, anyway, done with Paige and Chris for today.
Last we had Claire and Ryan, and we've already kind of talked about them.
Claire and Ryan, the biggest thing with them that she's moved into this house where she's there. They fixed up the backyard, and she's moved. She's already talking about, this is misorganized. She had her shirt flipped up and organized, and I can't remember what style that was. Somebody told me earlier, somebody told us in the chat, but the style that she had her shirts and stuff in. So she's misorganized. So she's already been in this house trying to fix his cabinets. Mm-hmm. She's been organizing
with spice rack in there.
She's organizing where Mishka's gonna go, try to make room for her and the dog. She's already talking about what she wants to do with the backyard. She's came into his house and I'm gonna do it right. She's adding a woman's touch. I'm not saying she's taking over. She's adding a woman's touch.
She's taking over. Ryan was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He was. And she was talking about doing this and doing that and organizing. And, he's particular, but she's way more organized than probably he's comfortable with. And it's on some takeover stuff. So he was like looking kind of bug-eyed like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
And she even talked about the siding of the house. The siding of the house wasn't good. So she's on some takeover, but she's organizing and getting what Ryan needs, we talked about them in the big L word. The L word was a big thing that came up. The moment that I laughed at was they watching the videos outside on the projection screen, and they talk about the relationship. They talking about they had a great dinner. They talking about everything, and she's looking at Ryan like, "All right, are you gonna say it?"
Right.
She's looking like, "All right, this is a great moment for you to go ahead and say I love you. This is a great moment. We watch."
He's tight-lipped.
He's tight-lipped. She tried to lay. She ended up laying her head on his shoulder, and he missed his opportunity.
He didn't miss the opportunity. He didn't. It was not an opportunity to him.
It was an opportunity to him. So
it wasn't.
She was expecting an opportunity for him to say I love it. She's already had pumped herself up that a Monthiversary is a great time for him to say I love you, and it didn't happen. It didn't come through.
Nah.
It didn't come the way that she wanted to come. I think he does eventually say it.
He told production, we're getting there. We're getting to that point. We're getting there.
He's moving at a snail pace. So again, just like Austin, I think he gets there maybe by decision day or on decision day. So Claire, hey, let's hold out. It's okay to hold out.
Yeah.
But nah, she also wants the sex too. She's brought that up. Still brought that up. She wants the sex. She wants to have it, and he's not giving it to her. They've been a month in, and she's not getting the penetration. So not at all. So she wants it. Man, but that's nothing much with them. They just had a decent conversation. The L word is the biggest thing that's there. Then she's organizing his house. Again, we talked about moving in.
Too soon.
Let us know. You think it's too soon to move in after a month of being married?
What do you even be talking about it? Like, we haven't even come to the decision day. Anything can happen before then.
I don't know. Moving in, I think a little bit too soon. Moving stuff to the apartment is fine, but moving into our house, don't know, unless they had conversations that they're both gonna say yes. So I'm gonna go on that end that they both had conversations, say they're gonna say yes. Only thing I don't think me personally, I don't think anything would stop them from being married.
Right.
At this point, unless he really just say
can't get to the love thing.
Yeah, can't get to the love thing.
Feel like they're not gonna get to the sex part.
Yeah, feel like they're never gonna get to the sex part. So I mean, to her, if they had not discussed it, her moving in is telling him, you know what, I enjoy the way you treat me.
I'm in it.
I'm in this. So if we don't never have sex, I'm staying with you. I don't know. And this is from a young lady. I'm done after this. This is a young lady who's been in a relationship with a guy who's had sex with her 3 times out of the year.
Right.
Hey, I guess she never want that ever happen to her again.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Hey, but make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Make sure you don't miss any of our reviews. If we said something that you like, leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for all the guys that's in the chat for leaving comment in the chat. We thank you for the conversations. It's been fun, man. People don't like this season. I think I like this season because it gives us a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot more issues, and it's just not the Paige and Chris show, as some say, but it's dealing with everybody.
Yeah.
So
they all got their own stuff.
Everybody has their own stuff, but next week seems like it's gonna be pretty interesting. We get some arguments. Virginia's telling Productions that she wants to leave, and again, Eric's doing what he normally do and telling her, "Guess what? You want to go? Go ahead and go."
A mess.
Anyway, again, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, leave a comment in the comment section below, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.